Good day, everyone. Welcome to another Collectors Corner episode. I'm your host, Silverhelm Coins and Collectibles. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Firstly, I just want to state that my channel, Silverhelm, we will be covering a lot more stamps, a lot more coins, and a lot more banknotes going forward. So definitely stay tuned. First, I would just like to recap a bit on the previous live we did. The first episode, this was mainly where I explained my journey of like how I got into it. Key points being that if you can, it's a very, very good idea if you inherited a coin collection or a stamp collection, or in fact banknotes. Anything that you inherited has that special meaning because it's been passed down to you through your family. So that was just one of the ways that I got into collecting. When I started doing or building the collection, that's when I started going on online auction sites, coin fairs, and stamp fairs. And all those are wonderful ways where you can actually source collectibles. So in today's one, we are actually going to look at what creates value in collectibles. We are also going to look at how collectors overpay through buying without researching. And then lastly, I'm just going to what's the best deal. I'm going to show a couple of the best bargain deals that I have acquired through my collection. So get your cup of coffee and let's dive into this episode. Okay. First, I would like to ask all my viewers if you could just basically answer this question. What are the main collectibles in your collection? This will help me going forward if I need to broaden the scope of the channel, or where I have to narrow down the scope of the channel, because that's what Collectors Corner is. It's a corner of collectors that are like hopefully going to grow on the journey, whether this be coins, stamps, banknotes. I do think this can be a community that we can eventually grow to include all types of collectors. So if you guys are into, let's say, for example, Pokemon cards or baseball cards, model cars, that's something I'm not familiar with. But because this is a collectibles channel, it's definitely something we can talk about. It's something we can learn about. So let me know in the comments below what collectibles you guys have, or what is the theme of your collections, and that'll basically also help me with putting out better content for my audience. Alrighty, so that was just to get that out of the way. Now so now I'm going to go into the first part of this video, which is what actually creates value. And we are going to use an example of coins. So this section, I'll start with coins. I'll try overlap it with stamps as well to kind of get for both what determines value, but we'll start with coins. So the first thing that determines value is rarity. So if you look at coins, the first thing that you need to be aware of is the mintage number. This was how many of the coins were minted in that specific year. I know something can be, in the millions of minted, then is a rather common example. Or if it is the example of the ultra rare 1931 Tiki, where only 128 were minted, then it becomes something really rare. So the first thing that determines value is the rarity. How rare is this collectible? Um, in the world of collectibles, the value increases as rarity basically increases as well. So if you have something that is really rare, let's say a scarce date, which means it was low minted of coins, then it suddenly has a little bit of extra value. So rarity is a big game in this, or big factor. If we tie this into stamps, the same applies. There might be 50 million minted, then all of a sudden it's a common definitive stamp. But if it is, let's say, a commemorative and there was a whole lot less printed, then all of a sudden the value is a bit more appealing. That being said, I want to say give one example, but that actually helps with rarity, and that is if there was an error. So this can occur both in coins and stamps, and if it has an error, then it actually increases the rarity. Because just an example I use the other day on my channel is if, let's say, for example, you have 6 million minted, but you have a die crack error and there's only 100,000 of those. So you're no longer dealing with the 6 million minted, you're dealing with the 100,000 minted ones that have the error. So that also creates rarity, and it definitely adds value. That's even a subgenre of coin collecting, stamp collecting, where you only specialize in specific errors. So rarity is definitely a key pillar that determines value. Next up, we have condition. So with both stamps and coins, there is a grading system. So the condition does actually determine is a factor in its overall value. So with coins, we're just going to look at some of the scale it is. I believe it's the Sheldon scale. It ranges from 1 to 70 numbers, and then it has words basically, such as it starts at poor, and then the best you can get is PF, which is proof. So that condition does determine, that grade does determine if the coin has specific value. If I could say it like this, if you have a coin that is, let's say, good or very good grade, that means it shows a little bit of damage, it shows wear and tear, it shows it was in everyday circulation, okay? And that would correlate with its own value. If you have the same coin, but it was proof coins, or in fact it was uncirculated coins, meaning it has its original luster, it doesn't have a lot of marks or anything, all the dates are visible, all the name letters are visible, then it correlates to its own value, which is often higher than regular circulated coins. So as you can see, in coins, it's kind of like the better the condition, the higher the value. So that's definitely something that adds to it. If we look at condition compared with stamps, then all of a sudden we're looking at something that's known as cancelled. That's if the stamp has been used, it's been placed on an envelope, it has a cancellation mark. Then you get cancelled to order, which means it was cancelled but was never used, meaning there's still gum at the back of the stamp. I actually cover this in a separate video, but I'm just going to kind of like highlight it. And then the most, how can I say, pristine condition a stamp can be in is mint never hinged. So this means it is mint, it was never cancelled, never hinged. Yes, never hinged. And just a brief explanation, hinge used to be those little pieces of, how can I say, tape that traditionally you would mount your stamps in an album. So you can have a mint stamp, but then you can see the hinge mark at the back of it. So that's mint hinged. But mint never hinged, meaning it never had a hinge on, and it's mint, that is the peak of stamp condition. That then in turn correlates to that specific value. Okay, so with all collectibles, I'd say condition is important. If you also look at something others like model cars and such, for example, the Bugatti I have, it was in good condition, it was stored, there's not a lot of damage on it. I did the cleanup and everything, but I actually came to see that it was in really pristine condition. So with collectibles, if it is in a good condition, then it also is a factor of its value. Next up, that determines is demand. So this is something that's a little bit new to me, as I'm not completely in the scene of how dealers would basically see what is a collectible that's in demand and how are they then going to price it for a value that for the retail. The notes I can just say about this is it will be if there's a specific error coin that's known and there's a specific year and there's a specific demand, then all of a sudden that is going to increase the value of the collectible. Something that'll most likely also happen in the future, the demand is the more they melt silver coins, the more the demand's going to climb for silver coins that have never been melted. So that's just one example of that. Another key pillar in value is age. So if you have a collectible that is older than 20 years, but not older than 100 years, then you are dealing with what's known as a vintage item. That means it is more than 20 years old, and this automatically places it in its own category. Most of my stamps are vintage, as they come from the 70s, maybe 60s. The oldest I have comes from 1909, but majority of my stamps are from the 70s and 60s, which means they comfortably fit in that age of vintage. This does increase the value of well, sometimes it does sometimes increase the value of the collectible, because now all of a sudden you have something that has survived for decades. The condition is good, the rarity is there. That all like kind of like intertwines into what creates the final value of the collectible. So age is really important. I would say with the stamps, it does play a key role in the valuation, but with coins even more so, uh, because what happens was if it was a circulated coin or it was uncirculated, and now all of a sudden it's 200 years old, then it adds value. So age is definitely a pillar of value in collectibles. And then lastly, I just want to kind of touch on the other thing that makes it interesting with coins, and that is because the older coin currencies, a lot of them contained silver. So that is the precious metal, and this produces or creates an intrinsic value in each and every single coin, because it has that silver spot price, or what's known as the melt value if you were to sell it just to be melted. So if you have old coins from certain denominations, certain countries, and certain years, you might be able to get the research that they contain silver, because now they have an intrinsic precious metals value. So that definitely increases the value of coins. I mean, they used to be quite common. They used to strike coins in silver. I know a fine example is if it is Victorian era Great Britain, it was sterling silver. If it was Southern Rhodesia before, I'd say, I think that in the 30s was 92.5% silver, sterling silver. And then even as recently as 1964, the quarters in America were 90% silver. So you can definitely take that, or you should take that into consideration with the collectibles, particularly coins, that if they have precious metal, then they also increase the value. So that was just some of the points I would like to bring up about what makes a coin valuable. Obviously the era, condition, rarity, uh, and precious metals, all of these tie together in creating the value behind a coin and behind a collectible. So let me know down below what you guys consider your main metric when determining if a collectible is worth buying. Because then I can also, answer in the chat if you have any questions about anything else that determines value of a collectible. Okay, so the next part, we are going to look at how collectors basically overpay because they buy without research. So as I mentioned in episode 1 of the main mistakes I made in the beginning of my collecting journey was not doing proper research into the collectibles that I was going to buy. So that's just the number one, is buying without researching. That is a key problem with beginner collectors. I mean, sometimes you can even grab someone that's, in the game, and they don't do the proper research. But if I could give an example, I actually bought a coin, and I didn't do my research in the beginning. I thought it was going to be a silver coin because it's such a old coin. And then I bought it. I went ahead with it and added it to the collection. But then what I did was research once the deal was done. So that is the wrong time to actually do the research. You should do it before the deal is done. And what I came to realize is, yes, this is an old coin, but my assumption that it was silver was incorrect. It was, in fact, the first year they minted them with 0% silver. So that's just a personal experience I had with not doing my due diligent research. These are especially needed with coins. Next up is confusing the asking price with the actual values. So that can be, let's say you have a 1 ounce pure silver bullion coin, and all of a sudden you get it with where it has like serious premiums. You're not aware about what the spot price is. That is a mistake you can make. You should always be on top of what is the value and what is the asking price, because silver has that spot price value, so it makes it kind of easier to see, okay, this specific premium is such and such, but if it's way too high, you can spot it and you can actually see the premium is too high. Okay. And this can apply to stamps as well. Most of your used cancelled stamps, especially definitive ones, they were printed a lot, so there were a lot in circulation, and then all of a sudden, the value seems off. You have to understand that the value of it does not necessarily mean what is its asking price, and the asking price can often be inflated. If you don't do your due diligent research, you'll make the mistake of maybe overpaying for something that is not as valuable as the asking price. Next up, a mistake collectors make is getting caught up with flashy titles, basically on online auction sites. So if you see anything, and especially if you're a beginner, and in the title of the product it says something like rare, exclamation mark, or unique, exclamation mark, and this is all just a little bit of wordplay, because it might be rare, it might be unique. We don't know yet because we didn't do our research, but I'm going to buy it because the hype says it's rare. The hype says it's unique. So that's a big mistake. It's just going to all the labels. I mean, that is from a business perspective. They just want to have the best title that they can have. But for collectors, you should always be a little bit wary. Do your due diligent research before buying something that's rare, or before buying something that is unique. So that was just a mistake you can make, is if you think, oh yes, it says rare, therefore I must buy it. Pause, take a second, do your research, do your valuation, and find out what is the market value of the collectible. Another mistake collectors make because they don't do research, and this actually ties in with what we spoke about, the value, is the condition. So if you're looking at a collectible and it's beat down, let's say the coin is in poor condition, uh, and then all of a sudden the premium is up there, but its value is down here because of the condition. So you have to kind of like have an eye, and this is specific for coins plus stamps, is that you need to have an eye to be able to see the grade or the condition of the collectible, because then you can automatically basically estimate it in your research. This is a very good or this is a very fine coin. Therefore, my research will go because very good or very fine graded coins. So the mistake is you don't actually gauge the condition. I believe this can also become in model cars, especially if it was, let's say, vintage toy cars, and they were used, they were played with, and then the condition was uh, pretty poor. Then all of a sudden you can't charge that premium. Well, you can charge it, but the collector would make a mistake if he pays that high premium for something that's conditioned that only puts it over here. So definitely ignoring the condition is a way that you can overpay. With stamps as well. You know, all of a sudden, if it's a cancelled one, but you see the price is actually for mint never hinged, then you will overpay. So just have that eye and that insight that when doing your research, you need to take condition into consideration with collectibles. And then lastly, just a mistake people make as well with buying collectibles is paying too much for common collectibles. So that means this one's going to be specifically for stamps. Some of these stamps in cancelled and definitive, they were millions of them were minted, and then all of a sudden, like let's say you see a listing, an example being just let's say maybe a famous person that is portrayed on the stamp, but then in fact it was a really common stamp and it was really circulated, and this one is cancelled, and then all of a sudden the seller kind of hikes up the price. You make the mistake of paying too much for a common item. So that can happen. That's definitely something that has happened to me as well. Before I realized that you have to sit down, you have to get really deep within the research, and then you can kind of like tie in everything I've spoken about on this episode, that can ultimately help you value or basically estimate the value of an item. Some great tools you can use to avoid overpaying is you can look at what's known as a stamp catalog. This is something like a Stanley Gibbons stamp catalog, and they will actually tell you, well, they have the entire catalog number. So you just find your catalog number of the stamp you have or the stamp you want to buy, and then you go research it, and then it will actually tell you what is the different conditions and what values correlate to each condition. So that is unique with stamps. They actually have like a complete catalog. That's the Stanley Gibbons. And then if you do your online research, it will give you the values of your stamps. With coins, the same thing applies. You can look at a site such as Numista. This is something I am often consult when researching coins, because what Numista does is it actually shows you how much is minted, the denomination, the silver content. It also shows what the value is of each and every single grade, what the value is of each and every single year the specific coin was minted. So definitely go and check those out. For stamps, I would recommend Stanley Gibbons, and for coins, I would recommend Numista. It's kind of like a global one, so it's really extensive. If you can't find a coin on Numista, then I have often turned to AI. I made a video a while back about using AI to grade coins, but you can also use them to identify, and then you can kind of like get the grade and then get the value of the coin. So definitely do your due diligent research when buying. That's just a collector tip that I think beginners or even intermediate collectors can benefit from, because this would prevent them from overpaying on a collectible. So in this last bit, I'm gonna again ask my audience and my viewers watching, what is the best bargain you've found, you have ever found? And this is what I'm gonna do now, is also make a little bit of a section about the best bargain I've ever bought or came across, and then we're just gonna kind of wrap it up over there. But the first one that I can say is I got this 1 ounce copper coin. Okay, if you follow the channel, you have seen this on review. It is just a 1 ounce copper round with the die gone viral, and I got this for less than $10. It's still above the melt value, but I was absolutely impressed when my coin dealer, offered me this for the price, and I just immediately went for it. I said, "Thank you, let's do it." And this copper round has been in the collection ever since. Um, Something I can just also mention is the die design was discontinued. So that gone viral. This is a discontinued. And if you have been listening, you'll remember that rarity does affect value. So definitely my copper round, although copper might not be something you would want to invest in. I know that's a topic for another video, because it's not a precious metal. It's not like gold and silver, but it is a very versatile metal, and they actually use it extensively in industry. They also do with silver and platinum, but that again is a topic for another video. The next, I would say, absolute best bargain I got is this NGC graded coin. It's a 2008 R5, which was the Nelson Mandela 90th birthday. So this is a coin from South Africa, and the grading is MS67. So this coin, because it is graded, it actually comes in this capsule. It does increase its value because it's a certifiable or verifiable grade for this coin. And upon my own research, I knew I had to get one of these, especially the price they were asking for them. So if I could kind of set the scenario, it was also an online auction, and I was bidding basically from something. I was bidding on a collectible from this seller, and then this popped up, and I said, well, I can, kind of minimize or spread out the shipping fee if I bid on this coin as well. And then what happened was I started bidding. It started at like less than $1, because it starts from zero. And then the maximum I paid for this was around, I'd say, $10, maybe 12, if you look at the conversion rate. But if you know anything about graded coins and this specific one, that is a major bargain, because these coins can become really valuable depending on who's selling it. The value does range, and you can actually get really good return on your money on these coins. It's a common coin, well, not a common coin, but it's a commemorative, and it is non-precious metal, so there's no silver, but it is my most valuable non-silver coin in the worldwide collection. So that's just some of the bargains, or two main bargains I've come across in my life. As you progress in the collecting journey, you will come across your own bargains. You'll actually get accustomed to finding the bargains and the deals, because ultimately, I do this as a form of investment as well, especially the coins with silver. You are just looking at something that will hopefully become more valuable with time, or if you can buy it, let's say over here, and its actual value is over here. That is the dream for collectors, is to just buy something that is more valuable than what you paid for. So thank you guys for watching. This was episode 2 of Collector's Corner. Let me know if there's anything else you guys want me to cover in the future episodes. If you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next one.